The NBA is dominated by stars, guys who put up big numbers night in and night out. They are the faces of the league for a reason. Stars are important for the NBA. However, role players are just as important to team success, and one of the best role players in the NBA is Pelicans wing Herb Jones. Jones is one of the more complete players in the league. He may not be a star, he may not put up big time numbers, but he's very well rounded. He's one of the best defensive players in the NBA, and he's also very competent offensively as well. I've been a fan of Herb Jones since he was in college, and he's proven he was a steal at pick 35 in the draft, as well as a player that is vital to winning basketball. But quickly before we go any further, if you're new and like basketball, I'd really appreciate if you would like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. I'm notified whenever I release a video. I make videos about basketball all the time, and liking and subscribing are the two best ways that can help me out in the YouTube algorithm, help support the channel, and help me reach my goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of the season. Let's try and get 100 likes on this video so YouTube will recommend it to others. Anyways, let's talk about Herb Jones. I wouldn't describe Herb Jones as a major rim pressure threat. He's not a guy who's going to dominate at the rim. However, I do think he's very good as a rim finisher at the same time. He's shooting 66% at the rim on 3.4 attempts per game. And on top of that, he's not just play finishing either. 41.4% of his rim production is unassisted on. So while he's not taking a ton of attempts at the rim, he's taking a solid amount of them, and a near 40-60 split in terms of assisted versus unassisted production is really encouraging given his role. It may not suggest he's an elite player in this area, but it does suggest that he's very competent in this area, which the tape does back up. He's very capable of attacking closeouts, he's a very good athlete with good body control, and while he's not the biggest guy ever at 6'7", 206 pounds, he absorbs contact very well. For a guy with a 14.6 usage rate, who isn't a focal point on offense, the fact that he's producing at a competent level in this area, while also being really efficient, is very valuable, especially when you look at his all-around skill set. The other area of scoring where Jones is effective from is beyond the arc. He's seen a 10.1% increase in his efficiency from beyond the arc this season compared to last season, while also seeing a slight increase in volume, as he's shooting 43.6% on 3.6 attempts per game beyond the arc. Now, it should be noted that almost all of his production from beyond the arc is off the ball. 95.5% of his three-point production is assisted on. However, that's perfectly fine to me. That means he's a player that plays well off of others, which is a very valuable skill to have. On top of that, he's a balanced three-point shooter, not in terms of on-ball and off-ball, but the fact that he takes a decent amount of shots from both corner and non-corner areas. He does take more corner threes, but he takes a decent amount of non-corner threes as well, and is pretty efficient from both areas of three-point shooting. His progression as a shooter has raised his value as a player. It allows him to play down the stretch of close games, it allows him to attack closeouts more, and he's already really good at that, and the value in that area goes up because of his improvements as a shooter. And when you combine what he does attacking the basket with his three-point shooting leap, you get a very valuable player, one that's lineup flexible, one that doesn't take away from other players on the court, and really just brings a scoring skill set you look for in a modern day wing role player. And the final part of his offense that I'm very encouraged by is his playmaking. He's not a primary playmaker by any means. If he had primary playmaking ability, this entire video looks different. I wouldn't be talking about him like a role player, I would be talking about him like a potential superstar. However, as a connecting playmaker, he's pretty good. He makes good reads, he can find the open man, doesn't really have tunnel vision, he plays within the flow of the offense, and that's all you can really ask for with a player like this. He doesn't need to make advanced reads, he doesn't need to create advantages. He just needs to keep the offensive flow steady, make the extra pass, find the open man when necessary, and he does that well. When you combine what he does as a scorer with his connecting playmaking, you get a player again that fits well with any lineup, and someone that won't drag your offense down. However, while Jones is a very competent offensive player, he is a special defensive player, one of the best defensive players in the world. And I honestly believe if his offense was as good as his defense, he would be one of the 10 best players in the NBA. When defended by Herb Jones, opposing offensive players shoot 4.3% worse from the field, 7.1% worse from 15 feet and beyond, and 6.8% worse from beyond the arc. He's in the 94th percentile in terms of defensive estimated plus minus. At 6'7" with a 7-foot wingspan, he's a very fluid athlete. He can absorb contact well. His feel for the game is off the charts. He has an incredible motor. Basically, he has every defensive tool you look for in a wing physically and mentally. He can play on and off the ball at an elite level. You can put him on the opposing team's best perimeter player and he's going to make their life a problem. He's somebody that can block shots, or at the very least deter shots in many facets. He has active hands on the ball and also plays passing lanes well. He covers a ton of ground defensively. I think he has some of the best defensive ground coverage for a non-big defender in the NBA. Holds his own on switches. I wouldn't say he's a true 1-5 defender because he is a bit smaller, and I do think even though he absorbs contact well, there are bigs that can give him trouble, but basically he can hold his own against all 5 positions, even if I don't think he's locking down all 5 positions. I would say he's locking down about 1 through 3 and maybe some 4s, but if he gets switched on to a different player, it's not going to be a problem. He makes the plays that don't show up in the box score on top of the plays that show up in the box score, and he just has it all defensively. He's impressive in the numbers, both basic and advanced, as well as just one of the most fun watches of defense in the NBA in terms of the tape. Herb Jones is someone who probably won't ever be a star in the NBA. He probably won't ever put up big time numbers. I don't think we're looking at the next Kawhi Leonard or anything like that. Not that I think anyone should be compared to Kawhi. I think it's getting to a point where you don't really compare people to Kawhi because Kawhi is one of the best players to ever touch a basketball. But I do think that Herb Jones will be one of the most valuable players to winning basketball for a very long time in the NBA. Offensively, he's complete. He may not be a big-time offensive creator. He may not be a 25-point per game scorer. But he is somebody that really has a skill set that is going to translate in multiple settings. He's a good finisher that can attack on the ball when necessary and also be a play finisher. And he's growing as a 3-point shooter that can space the floor. He's also a good connecting passer that plays within the flow of the offense. He may not be the guy you rely on as a main source of offense, but he's also a source of reliability as well. He fits well with many lineups, he doesn't take away from others, and for a complementary piece, that's all you can ask for. And then defensively, he's truly special. He's one of the best in the NBA. He's versatile, he's smart, he's productive, his motor is incredible, and that's what you want in a modern day role-playing wing. A reliable complementary offensive player who is also a great defensive player. And I would go as far to say Herb Jones is more than just a great defensive player. He's a world-class defensive player. I think when we talk about Jones, we're talking about a guy who is likely going to be at his best 12 to 15 points per game on good efficiency, that can play off of others and maybe even play on the ball here and there in certain situations when it's asked of him, but you don't really rely on it. Probably more of a 4th or 5th option on offense. But defensively, he's your quarterback, he's your anchor, which is something that's rare for a 6'7" wing, but he has that kind of ability. I'm very confident that he can be what I just described because he's only 1 point per game away from being that player right now. I think he's going to be one of those guys who may not be the flashy popular name, he may not dominate the headlines, but anyone who's really paying attention to the sport knows how good he is, knows how valuable he is and how important he is to winning basketball. The same way Marcus Smart was viewed in Boston, or later career Draymond Green. I think an optimistic outlook is he does kind of become like prime Draymond Green. I don't think he'll be the rebounder that Draymond is, or even the playmaker, but I think if he reaches a certain level of scoring, which isn't out of the cards just based off the way he's improving, he could reach that. But think of later career Draymond, maybe a bit better of a scorer, but maybe not the playmaker. It's not a one-to-one comparison, talking more about the impact as a player in terms of maybe putting up okay to decent numbers, but having an impact that is way bigger than that. I think Herb Jones can be that kind of player, and Marcus Smart was a very valuable player on a team that had a standard of making it to the conference finals. Draymond Green has been a very valuable player on the best dynasty in the sport over the last 10 to 20 years. And I think Herb Jones can be that kind of player. I really think this will drive the point home for how good I think Herb Jones is and will be for a very long time. If he ever wins an NBA title in his career, he won't be the best player on the team. He won't lead the team in scoring. He may not even be top 3 or 4 in scoring on the team. But when you watch the tape, you know that he is the most impactful player on that team, and one of the 2 to 3 most important players for that team winning a title if that ever happens in his career. And I would love for him to win an NBA title, because if he wins an NBA title, he's going to be a big reason for it. But that's the end of this video. If you made it to this point, thank you so much. Again, haven't already, like, subscribe, hit notification bell, I'm notified whenever I release a video. I'm making videos about basketball all the time, and liking and subscribing are the 2 best ways can help me out in the YouTube algorithm, help support the channel, and I'll be reaching my goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of the season. Let's try and get 100 likes on this video so YouTube will recommend it to others. Let me know what you think about Herb Jones. Where does he rank among best defenders in the NBA? How important do you think he could be to a contending team? I'd love to hear all that in the comment section down below. But with that being said, have a nice day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.